What up, what up, what up? It's your man Wolf with Dale. Listen, I had to take a quick second out. Want to drop a few jewels on you this evening. Been running around, but it's all about the people. So if you come to this channel, you're in the right place. I'm going to show you some of the knowledge I have and I've acquired over the years in real estate. Of course, as always, it's free knowledge, and if you want to join me and begin investing, that's what we do. So I'm gonna get right into it. It's gonna be today about a quick topic. It's gonna be a couple few breakdowns. We're gonna talk about cash flow versus appreciation. And one of the main things that I want people to understand, it's a big difference in how you invest when you're talking about cash flow or appreciation. So it's your man's Wealth with Dale. Boom, another key to success. Oh yeah, the shirt, check it out. Running comps is my cardio. You can holler at my girl Asia Thomas at the Thomas Agency on IG to get your fresh real estate gear. So boom, you got two aspects, right? Some people invest for cash flow, and then there's some other people that buy real estate for appreciation. So we're gonna get down to defining those two things. Cash flow is essentially the profit, the net profit that you see every month, every quarter, every year from the property that you purchase. And that's my main goal when I invest in real estate. Cash flow. I want my money to work for me. I want to be free from working for others or even working for myself, because being an entrepreneur and an investor, they're two different things as well, which we'll talk about in other videos. So I invest for cash flow. Some people invest for appreciation. Now, in the mix, they get some cash flow, but where they usually make the wrong turn is they're too focused on the appreciation of the property. And appreciation is basically the difference where the property grew from where you purchased it. A good example is you went out and you purchased a property. It was $200,000 in a nice neighborhood, and your intentions is that this property turns to $300,000 over the next 5 years, and you've made $100,000 in equity that you can then sell the place and cash out, or you can do a refinance and cash out. But I want to give some different views to look at each way of investing, these two ways. Me personally, like I say, I invest for cash flow, and it's a very important reason why I invest that way and not the other way, basing appreciation. So let's get into the first main reason and difference. There's a lot of outside factors when it comes to real estate that you have no control over, period, okay? But one of the things that you really have to look at is how things shift in the economy. You know, how well is the economy doing? Are people still buying homes, right? Typically, when property values go up, it's because people are constantly buying property and people are increasing the price, which ultimately increases your property value if it's done correctly or directly in your neighborhood or your community. Sometimes it's citywide, you got appreciation. But that leaves the outside factors, right? People have to be buying new homes for you to see the difference and for you to see appreciation. So that's something completely out of your control, and it dismantles your whole plan. Oh, but Dale, they still got cash flow. True. But typically when you're purchasing a home because you want to see some price increase, it's usually a little bit nicer home, maybe a nicer neighborhood. So you may make an investment on a property to say $200,000. Well, the problem with that is now you have a mortgage on it. So you put a down payment and you got a mortgage that may be running you somewhere upwards of $1,600, $1,700 a month. Well, in this property, you may be able to rent it out for, let's say, $2,000 a month. So you got a $1,700 mortgage, tax and insurance, PITI, and you have a tenant who's going to rent the place for $2,000 a month. So you got a $300 profit, arguably, each month, which is the cash flow. Okay, fair enough. So here's where there's a big difference, and when you focus too much on the appreciation, first is you buy a more expensive property, usually a nicer neighborhood. It's not always the case, but most of the time this is essentially what happens. So you buy a nicer place, and now you've spent $200,000 on this property, and you got a renter in there, and you're like, life's great, right? They're in there, they're paying the mortgage on time every month. You're making a $300 cash flow. You're like, the property's going to go up. Great. So the end of the year comes, they stayed there 12 months, they paid it on time, you've made $3,600. Life is great. You've paid down your principal from the mortgage a very tiny bit because the first 10 years doesn't go towards the principal a lot. But you're banking on the property appreciation. So you've acquired this property, they've paid it, you made $3,600. Great. They decide to move. So now you have the home, you clean it up, you flip it over for the next person, right? You might need new carpets, you might need some spackling, you need a little bit of work done. So now you're turning the place over. You got some people in there putting in new carpet. You did some paint. You did a few things, and it cost you $1,200, right? So now you're sitting at a $2,400 profit. $2,400, not bad. Now the property's back on the market. A month went by, and it's back on the market. Oh, but that month while you were fixing it, the place was empty. So now you have another mortgage payment that you had to pay out of your pocket because no tenant was there while you were fixing it, that's typical for flips. So you paid the mortgage payment, $1,700, right? Now you had a $2,400 profit, and you just had to pay out $1,700, right? So now your profit for the year has came down to $700. So now it's getting tight. Now it's on the market. When that first month it didn't rent, so you had to make another mortgage payment of $1,700. So now you're in the red $1,000, and the place has only been vacant those 2 months. So this is how things can start to get in a tough spot when you buy based on appreciation versus the cash flow part, where I'm gonna get to later, where I focus more on the cash flow. Okay, so now you're in the red. What happened? It was a great idea. I thought I bought this place in the red. It's just the outside factors, right? Now, if you'd have bought looking at cash flow, I typically tell people to find a house. It is $50,000, $60,000, $70,000, something very inexpensive. You typically have to put down 20, 25%. And what this does is you have a very low mortgage. Now, it's not going to be a big fancy house. It's not going to be something where you're like, oh, the property value might shoot up or anything like that. But what's important is the cash flow, because now you bought a property that was $50,000 and you had to put down 25% or 20%. And now you got a mortgage for maybe $200 or $300 a month, right? And now these properties still may be renting for $1,100, $1,000, right? So now you got a $700 a month cash flow, let's say. Now, big difference. 12 months went by, you made $700 a month. You take that, you got $8,400, right? $8,400, not great math. I think you got $8,400, right? That's your profit. Now we're looking comfortably. So you had to do the same thing. You had to go and you had to switch the property out, new carpet and things like that. And you spent another $1,000 to turn the $1,500, right, to fix the stuff. But you made $8,400. So now we're like, how much did I say? We spent $1,500 out of our 84. So we had 69, right? Not bad. You got $6,900 profit. Say it was vacant 2 months, just like the other property. So that's another $600 you had to pay out, right? You're in a very good position, right? We paid another $600, 69. You got $6,300. That's a comfortable position. You bought the right way. You bought looking at cash flow, because those outside things you can't really control. So let's get into why you can't control some of the outside factors, which are you bought that house for property appreciation, but what happened when your next door neighbor loses their job and their home gets foreclosed on, right? That will affect your property value. You can't control it. You don't have anything to do with it, but it will affect your property value. So you bought a townhouse for an investment, and then in that community, a bunch of people decided to rent out their townhouse, and now the townhome owners versus renters has shifted, and there's more renters in the community. Well, now that community is no longer eligible for many of the loans on the market. So now homes aren't selling there, right? So what do people do? They start dropping their price to try to get their home sold. The quality of the community starts to go down because there's too many renters, right? So now your property value has dropped. You didn't have anything to do with it. You didn't destroy the community, but it's outside of your hand. And now you got this expensive mortgage you're paying, and the property value is decreasing, and you didn't have anything to do with it, right? So 2008 was the recession, and the recession was based on property, right? It was all about property. That's why we came into this spot, homes. But I don't know how long you've been renting. You can ask yourself. Some people have been renting 5 years, 10 years, even 20 years. If you were renting in 2008, did you get a letter in the mail from your landlord saying we're decreasing your rent because of the housing crisis? Probably not. I haven't met anyone yet who said their rent went down in 2008. So the people who owned homes and rented them out and purchased them properly for the right amount of cash flow, they still did well. Nothing changed. They still made money. If anything, there was such a demand because people lost their homes, they were probably able to increase the rent. All right. Now, there was a lot of investors who took losses because they did buy homes that were overpriced to rent them out to build this wealth and this appreciation. They were left holding the bag, right? They had these homes, they had these high mortgages they could not pay because they bought a more expensive house banking on the fact that the property would go up. So unfortunately, these guys got 2, 3, 4 homes with big mortgages, $1,500, $1,600, $1,700, $1,800 a month. So those guys had to go into bankruptcy because now they have 3 homes foreclosed on their credit report. Now they got to go into bankruptcy status. So that's why it's important to stick with the lower homes, the lower price homes when you go to evaluate there. Another beautiful thing about it is the generational wealth. Buying properties and buying them properly for cash flow is generational wealth. It's great that you can make $5,000, $6,000, $7,000 a month off this investment. I mean, a year. I'm sorry, off the investment you made. But man, think about that for your child or for some other family member. If you don't have any children, maybe you got nieces or nephews, something you can truly pass on. Think about how rent increases over the next 20 years. It could be something that you bought 2 decades ago that you decided to give to someone, or even the life you provide for yourself. How did that rent increase? How was it able to change your life, which is what my brand is all about, Wealth with Dale. I want to see people living a more comfortable life. I want to see them happier. So I want you to keep these things in mind when you start to analyze and look at property, because it's essential. So it's your man's Wealth with Dale. I'm going to cut it short. I want y'all to have a great weekend. I don't know when you're watching this video because it's going to be up on YouTube, hopefully for years and years to come. If you want to join me in investing in real estate together, my key market is Detroit. It's a market I know and I'm comfortable with. And on top of that, it has some of the greatest returns in the country. So if you're interested in investing with me, you can always shoot me an email at wealthwithdale@gmail.com. Or if you're following this on social media, IG, you got Wealth with Dale, and just hit me up and let's talk. Let's make it happen. 2019 is coming. 2018, let's get all your ducks in a row. It's your man's Wealth with Dale with another key to success. Peace.